Welcome to Trump Breaking News Network, your daily source for up-to-date news on the political scene of Donald Trump, his presidency, American politics and conspiracies. Please subscribe to receive notice of our daily updates. Also share with your friends and your social media. We encourage you to like our videos and give your comments.
This is TBNN.
Trump's presidential announcement, the speech and its possible meaning, video, links, and analysis. The president's address to the American people following his extended international trip was long anticipated by many of us. This speech followed what could easily be considered one of the largest strategic moves toward world liberation in decades. The numerous international developments such as the destruction of major ISIL targets, and the arrest of several Saudi princes and officials was nothing short of world-changing. On top of all of these major moves, the revelation of major outings and arrests of elitist pedophiles in the United States pretty much made history in a matter of weeks. These public accusations and revelations were the first of their kind and verbalized the epidemic of pedophilia in government and entertainment. These revelations shifted the view of thousands of Americans who once believed the propaganda that Donald Trump was the only problem in government. Following these revelations, many of the former deniers of child rape are taking a second look. Due to all of these occurrences, most of those who are aware of our current national and world situation expected to hear much more from President Trump on the newly disclosed issues. However, we were left with the average, official jargon we have always heard from the administrative office. This left audiences feeling curious and even disappointed. However, before getting too far into the subject, let's give those who have not yet heard a chance to watch the speech in its entirety. I had a feeling that the big announcements that we have been waiting for would not necessarily happen immediately after Trump's return, even though this was the proposed plan. With all of the covert strategies that the current administration has accomplished to overthrow the criminal cabal, it would not seem fitting that they would simply lay out their own plans for further action. Effective plans do not typically succeed when they are openly stated. They are simply executed and reported later. It could also have been that the original plan was to disclose much more information during this speech. The administration and security may have been using this speech as a litmus test to see what the reaction might be. It was a subjective decoy to test what any remaining opposition might do. There are other theories they may apply, but in the case that I guess correctly, I do not want to give anything away. According to multiple sources, many arrests have already taken place. Some of the sealed indictments that were reported to be waiting in different courts around the country may have been opened and served. It would make sense that just in case these indictments were not able to be completed, or if they were completed, but those in custody were not fully cooperative, that the Trump administration would not go forward with any unorthodox announcement. In this case, administration might wait until all of the people of interest were in custody before proceeding with abnormal narratives. In his speech, President Trump covered multiple topics which sounded familiar in many ways. However, I am curious to know if there was double meaning in any of the terminology he used. For instance, he spoke about honoring the people of America and the world, about jobs and workers, and maintaining human rights and security for the people. He also spoke about the multiple nations he visited and the camaraderie his administration attempted to bolster on his recent trip. Most significantly, he talked about the issue of North Korea and the ways which he and multiple nations aimed to disarm and stabilize this country with peaceful results. It could very well be that these statements were literal and there was nothing more to them. However, what if there were more to the situation? What if more was meant by what was openly stated? It could be that in the typical cryptic way in which the president has spoken in the past, his talk on various subjects meant something more. What if by speaking about protecting citizens and treating them with respect as an example to other nations, Trump was referring to a more broad scope of those goals? What if by intending to protect jobs, he was referring to protecting the people from the fraudulent systems which have prevented the people from receiving their due providence? This is just speculation, of course, but let's continue. Trump spoke about his travels to multiple foreign countries and the alliances he had done his best to form to protect each of these countries from rogue regimes. North Korea was used as the focus of these trips as well as the speech that followed. As we have heard, North Korea is a cabal proxy regime. According to reports, Kim Jong-un does not call the shots there. He is under the control of cabal interests. In a worst-case scenario, if the cabal were backed into a corner and desperate in trying to end the world as they have been so interested in doing thus far, North Korea would most likely be the tool used to instigate a nuclear attack of some kind. Conveniently, this was the country which the Trump administration chose to diplomatically and militarily surround while working toward multinational opposition to disarm the country permanently. Again, the speech alone did not seem to say much. However, combined with the strategic maneuvers which the Trump administration performed, and combined with the recent takedown of multiple former backers of the cabal in Saudi Arabia and the 1,000+ sealed indictments waiting to be served, this speech seemed to communicate much more than the mere words spoken. It seems clear that significant change is upon us. However, it can be taxing to one's patience to see how unacknowledged this change is from government officials. We might keep in mind that the JFK disclosures started out this way. They were conservative and incomplete initially, but after much struggle, the open truth came forward. It seems that truth is coming forward. However, those delivering it appear to have a collective uncertainty about their forward progress. They might be thinking, will these disclosures be successful? Will they be extremely disruptive to citizens, and if so, to what degree? They might also be wondering whether or not it is safe for them to go forward at this point. Those holding the power to reveal the truth might be nervous about doing so because they have not yet completely drained the swamp, as they say. However, the effort and the will is there, I think. It is typically that last step that requires a big inhale before they actually commit. When the numerous global changes that have taken place are publicly announced by a governing body in plain English, it will be impossible to deny what has taken place. Many of us are waiting for that time, but for now, we create as we will and can expect to see this change in our near future. Must watch, President Donald Trump delivers explosive speech on trade with Asia. The video link is below in our description.
This has been the Trump Breaking News Network. Please subscribe and share to stay up to date on the latest news about our president. Be informed.